Oh, that is nice. Hey guys, it's Late Boy Scout. I'm here enjoying the fruit of my labors right now. But I didn't come up here to sit around. I actually came up here to test and review this knife right here. It's the CRKT Hoodwork, designed by Karen Hood, wife of the late Ron Hood, a knife designer, an outstanding knife designer. This knife is really something special. 1095 steel, just an outstanding edge and geometry to it. G10 handle scales. I'll talk about all the details of it in this review as well as my experience with it. Stick around. So as I said before, the Hoodwork is a collaboration between knife designer Karen Hood and CRKT. And it stands on its own beautifully as just an excellent survival knife. 1095 steel with a fantastic edge on it and just great blade geometry. It's flat ground pretty much from almost all the way up to the spine on down. Not quite all the way down, but it is very nearly full flat ground. It has those VEF serrations on them that you get from CRKT. Those serrations are really cool. They don't get in the way if you're just going to do some chopping and kind of standard knife slicing with it, but they also add that little bit of serrated touch when you need it. So that's really cool, and they also look beautiful in my opinion. The edge on it came razor sharp from the factory. They just did an excellent job with it. The knife itself comes to a nice point right here. You can see that that's a fairly fine point. If you were to do some stabbing and prying with that, there is definitely a chance of eventually breaking that tip off if you were to push it to that level. I probably wouldn't. Just know the limitations of your knife and don't push it too far. You've got some really nice jimping right here on the spine of the knife, right where you need it, in order to get a good purchase on there with your thumb, whether you're wearing gloves or barehanded. You can really, it's good jimping. It's big jimping, but really good sharp jimping. And you've also got a great finger choil right here so that you can choke up really nicely on the blade to get that good carving done. The handle scales are G10, but they are a very cool looking layered G10, white and black in there, creating a very interesting looking pattern. You know, there's some great aesthetics to this knife. You can obviously tell that there are 3 holes going through there. I think that's partially aesthetics, partially weight saving, and I could see that giving you some added versatility as well for potentially lashing this to a spear or something like that. You can also see that the screws that hold the scales on are just standard flathead screws. Talk about the ergonomics of the handle. You can see that it kind of curves down right here and also comes to something of a point right here. Now, if you're using that with your palm and your fingers wrapped all the way up here and choked all the way up to that choil, it feels really nice. Okay, it feels really nice. You can get it in a reverse grip, and that feels good too because those G10 scales are very nicely rounded. And so it's sculpted in such a way that you can hold this and cut with it and do all kinds of work with it for just hours on end. I will say that this point right here, if you're doing some chopping, which I did a lot of today, you get your lanyard on, which comes bright and orange, by the way. The way that curves back up and gets into your pinky or your ring finger, yeah, it will kind of whack your ring finger a little bit when you slam that into the wood or whatever it is you're trying to cut. So just anticipate that, bring some gloves, and you'll be okay. It's still an outstanding design and very ergonomic overall. Now, if you want the full specs on this knife, you can find those over at CRKT's website. I will say that the weight feels just right. The size feels just right for a survival knife. The handle is just right. I mean, that is just the right amount of handle. You can kind of choke back on it and still have enough to hold on to and do some chopping and whacking with. It's, as far as I'm concerned, this is sort of the perfect sized survival knife. The balance point is right around here, a little bit short of the choil. What that means is when you get it in hand with your finger up in that choil, it feels very light, very quick, and very manageable in hand. blade shape on the Hoodwork is extremely versatile. You can do all sorts of slicing, chopping, batoning, any number of things with that blade shape. It's got a nice kind of drop to it right there with a good sweep right up here. It's just really well thought out and, you know, kind of generic in one sense, but just classic as well. I have not tried using a ferrocerium rod on the spine of this knife, but it feels somewhat sharp, and I bet you could pull some sparks off of a ferrocerium rod using the back of that knife. I don't know offhand what the name of this coating is that's on the Hoodwork. It's very distinct though, and it's got a really cool look to it when it comes out of the package, where it's kind of dark up here towards the blade edge and a little bit lighter as it goes up. I don't know a whole lot about why that is, but it's very distinct looking and very cool looking. There's definitely a need for some sort of coating on this 1095 steel, which is more prone to rust than some steels, but also high in carbon and just excellent for this type of work. It's held a fantastic edge in the work that I've done with it today. That is still a pretty scary edge. I don't think it'd shave, but pretty darn close. For a classic survival knife of this type, I think I can understand why they would go with a more classic leather sheath for it. It makes some sense, it does. And it's kind of cool that you've got a little compartment up here on the front for some sort of a sharpening stone or something like that. And you've got a little retention strap right here, also made of leather, clips in right there. You've got a generous belt loop right there, which is going to be big enough for virtually any belt that I know of. It's holding up okay. It's probably going to hold up just fine for years and years and years of use, but I probably will opt to replace it with a Kydex sheath in the near future. I'll also say that the snap closure right here on the sheath doesn't work very well. Either it wasn't measured properly, or maybe it's just not designed right. I don't know, but if you just twist the knife, hold on, there you go. You've got to have it on your belt in order for that to happen. It'll just pop it right open. I think it's probably designed to hold the knife in place regardless of any twisting or turning of this blade on your belt, and then only break open when you forcefully break it open yourself to remove the knife. I would say that that's how it's supposed to work, and it doesn't work that way. The only slight hit I can give to the whole package is the leather sheath. I would rather have Kydex, but this is going to work really well for almost all situations. I do thank CRKT for sending me this knife to review. I think it's an outstanding design, and I've really enjoyed playing with it. Guys, Christmas is coming up, and if you're thinking about getting some kind of a survival knife for yourself or for somebody you love, or having somebody you love get a survival knife for you, this might be one that you want to put on the list. Well, thanks very much for watching. I hope this review has helped you. I'm the Late Boy Scout. We'll see you later.
Buy my Velcro-backed patches using the links below, and go to Blade HQ for the exclusive Knife Love t-shirt.
I like this thing quite a lot. It's a tough little knife. Really gives something like the Azula a run for its money. I feel like it's pretty comfortable in hand for almost all of the cutting tasks that I did.